a break-in with no broken doors, a thief who leaves no fingerprints, and a clue so strange that even trained investigators can't explain it except one. This case begins before sunrise, when the world is quiet, but danger is already awake. What seems like a simple breach will soon turn into a trail of secrets, hidden motives, and a silent enemy watching from the dark. And the only hint of truth comes from a single moment no one expected. The day starts with a cold mist hanging over Breakwater Point, the kind that sits heavy in the air and makes everything feel still, almost frozen. Detective Hudson is already halfway through his first cup of coffee when he gets the call. At first, it sounds routine: a security alert at a research facility, the kind of minor disruption that usually turns out to be a technical glitch. But the voice on the other end is tight, worried, and careful with every word. Something is different this time. Something feels wrong. By the time Hudson reaches the facility, the sun is barely rising. Pale orange light spreads across the long metal structures of the research center, but it doesn't make the place feel any warmer. The front gate is untouched. The security locks all show a perfect system check, and there are no signs of forced entry anywhere. Inside, staff members wait in a tense group, whispering about what they heard, what they didn't hear, and what they fear might have happened. No alarms, no broken glass, no footprints, nothing. Yet, a top-level lab has been breached. Hudson moves through the hallway, his footsteps echoing against the polished floor. The air feels too clean, too calm, as if someone tried to erase their presence. He notices the subtle shift in the atmosphere the moment he enters the secured wing. Everything in the room is in perfect order: machines powered down, files neatly stacked, tools arranged with precision. Only one detail breaks the pattern: a single storage compartment slightly open, just enough to hint at a hurried hand or a hidden purpose. Rex steps inside with slow, measured confidence. His tail is still, his ears sharp, his focus locked on something only he can sense. There is no noise, no movement, no visible clue to guide him, yet his attention fixes on one corner of the room. Hudson watches closely. Rex doesn't react like this unless something or someone has left a trace behind. A technician walks over, nervous and pale, explaining that the compromised lab stores experimental data meant for law enforcement technology. Highly restricted, highly valuable. Nothing physical is missing, they claim. But the computer terminal connected to the secure database shows signs of unauthorized access. Not a full breach, just a small, quiet attempt to probe inside. Just enough to test the system, not enough to trigger a loud alert. Hudson studies the terminal. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing, he thinks. No sloppy errors. No digital footprints. Every action calculated. This wasn't a random hacking attempt or amateur break-in. This was someone with insider-level understanding, someone confident enough to move without leaving a visible mark. As he continues scanning the room, Rex suddenly shifts. He lowers his head, sniffs a narrow gap between two storage units, and stays there, unmoving. Hudson kneels down and gently feels along the surface until his fingers brush against something thin and metallic. Hidden in the shadows is a small flash drive, wedged lightly between the panels. Positioned as if dropped by accident or placed deliberately to send a message, the technician shakes their head, insisting it doesn't belong to the lab. Hudson studies the drive. No label, no markings. Just a simple, silent object that could change everything. Rex sits beside him, eyes steady, as if confirming this is the real beginning of the case. Hudson pockets the drive and rises to his feet. Around him, the room remains still, almost eerily calm, but the feeling in his chest tightens with a clear truth. This was not a simple breach. Someone wanted something from this lab, and whoever it is, they're willing to take risks to get it. The case has officially begun. The flash drive sits on the table like a quiet challenge, small enough to ignore but dangerous enough to shift an entire investigation. Hudson holds it carefully, knowing something this tiny can either expose the truth or send the team chasing shadows. The room feels heavier now, as if it knows a secret it refuses to share. Rex stays close, watching every movement with sharp, alert eyes. He sensed this clue before anyone else, and that alone tells Hudson it matters more than it appears. Back at headquarters, the team gathers in the tech room. The lights are dim, the hum of machines filling the silence. The flash drive is placed into an isolated system standard protocol for anything that could be a trap. The screen loads slowly, as if the drive itself is hesitant to reveal what it carries. A few lines of encrypted data appear, wrapped in layers of coded patterns that look like scrambled numbers and symbols. It's not random noise. It's intentional, structured, and locked behind military-level encryption. One of the tech specialists leans forward, eyes narrowing. "This isn't normal lab data," he says quietly. "It's something else. Something someone didn't want found." His fingers move across the keyboard as he begins the painstaking process of peeling back the digital layers. Each step forward is met with resistance, like the drive is fighting back. Every minute feels longer than the last. Meanwhile, Hudson steps out into the hallway. He needs space to think. The entire situation feels too clean, too perfect, as if the intruder planned the breach down to the last second. Why leave a flash drive behind? Was it truly dropped or was it planted? He considers the possibility that the intruder wanted them to find it. If that's true, then this clue isn't just information. It's bait. Rex walks beside him, calm but alert. Hudson taps the side of his leg, guiding him back toward the secured wing of the building where the breach happened. He wants to retrace the steps one more time. When they enter the lab again, the atmosphere feels different, like the room is holding its breath. Hudson moves slowly, his eyes searching for anything he might have missed before. Rex circles the room, sniffing carefully. Then he stops near the same corner where the flash drive was found. He lowers his head, focusing on the faintest trace of scent. To Hudson, the air smells like nothing, but Rex can read the smallest details. After a long moment, Rex looks toward the ventilation panel. Hudson follows his gaze and notices a small dent on one edge, something easily ignored by anyone in a hurry. He unscrews the panel and pulls it free. Inside, the metal surface carries an odd streak, a faint smear that looks like residue from a glove or sleeve. Hudson brushes it lightly. It's oily, like contact from someone who knew exactly where to hide. It's not enough for fingerprints, but enough to confirm that the intruder passed through this exact spot. Whoever they were, they moved in silence and with purpose. Back in the tech room, the specialist calls out with urgency. Hudson and Rex rush in to see the decrypted screen, now revealing the first clear piece of information. A list of project names appears coded, vague, all tied to confidential developments meant for advanced law enforcement tools. But one entry stands out because it's marked differently, highlighted by a thin red line, a prototype connected to real-time tracking, capable of identifying targets through multiple data points. Something far more powerful than anything released to the public. Something dangerous if placed in the wrong hands. Hudson feels a shift in the room. A quiet tension settles. This wasn't just a random intrusion. Someone wanted this data. Someone knew exactly where it was kept, how to get close to it, and how to slip out without being seen, and the flash drive. It wasn't left behind by accident. It was a message. Rex lets out a low breath, almost a warning. Hudson knows he's right. This case is no longer about a simple breach. It's about someone playing a deeper game, someone who plans every step with precision. The air inside the facility grows thick with unease as Hudson studies the decrypted list glowing on the monitor. Each project name represents months of research, but the one with the red line carries a weight the others don't. It feels like a silent alarm, a warning left behind by the intruder. Hudson knows they need answers fast, and the only people who can give those answers are the staff who work inside these walls every day. He gathers the team of technicians in the briefing room. The room is plain and windowless, but the tension inside it feels alive. Chairs scrape the floor as the staff take their seats, avoiding eye contact with one another, whispering under their breath. Hudson stands at the front, steady and calm, though his mind is racing. He isn't here to accuse anyone. He's here to understand what this facility hides because hiding always leads to danger. As he speaks, his voice stays even, controlled. He asks simple questions. Who had access to the lab? Who worked late last night? Who noticed anything strange? For a moment, everything seems ordinary, just routine answers from a tired staff. But then Hudson notices a shift. One technician, a young man with restless hands and darting eyes, keeps glancing toward the exit. He answers every question quickly, too quickly, as if rehearsed. His leg bounces beneath the table, a nervous rhythm impossible to ignore. Rex sits at Hudson's side, quiet but attentive. His gaze moves from person to person until it lands on the nervous technician. Rex's ears lift slightly, his posture straightening. It's subtle, but Hudson catches it. Rex has sensed something: fear, guilt, or a scent connected to the breach. The technician swallows hard when Hudson approaches him. His voice cracks as he explains he wasn't anywhere near the secured wing last night. He insists he left hours earlier, claims he wouldn't know how to access a restricted database even if he wanted to. But his tone trembles and his eyes avoid Hudson's. It's not enough to prove guilt, but enough to raise suspicion. Still, Hudson knows fear doesn't always mean guilt. Sometimes it means someone is hiding something unrelated. Sometimes it means someone saw something they're afraid to talk about. He keeps his questions gentle, probing, searching for cracks in the technician's story. The man stammers, wiping sweat from his forehead. He mentions hearing something odd, a faint metallic sound near the loading area, but quickly takes it back, saying it was probably nothing. He can't recall the exact time, or maybe he can, but doesn't want to admit it. The more he talks, the more tangled his story becomes. Rex doesn't stop watching him. When the questioning ends, the staff leave the room one by one. The nervous technician is the last to step out, almost stumbling as he reaches the door. Hudson lets him go but keeps the image of his shaking hands in mind. Something about him doesn't fit. Either he's involved, or he's hiding a truth he's terrified to share. Hudson walks back into the main corridor. The fluorescent lights hum softly overhead, and the faint smell of disinfectant lingers in the air. Too clean, too controlled. Something about this place feels staged, as if the breach is only the surface of a deeper issue. Maybe the intruder had help. Maybe they had access codes. Maybe they had someone inside clearing their path. Rex nudges Hudson's hand, guiding him back toward the secured lab. They enter the room again, and instantly Rex begins sniffing the floor, tracing invisible lines only he can detect. He walks toward the technician's workstation, then moves past it, heading straight to the back corner where the air vent was tampered with. But this time, he keeps going. He stops at a small side door that leads to a maintenance hallway. Hudson opens the door. The hallway is long, narrow, dimly lit, and rarely used. Dust gathers in untouched corners. But halfway down, the dust pattern is disturbed in streaks where someone walked recently. Hudson steps closer and notices a faint smudge on the wall, the same oily residue he found inside the vent. His pulse tightens. This is a new trail, a path the intruder used once, maybe more. The nervous technician's story suddenly feels different. Maybe he wasn't lying out of guilt. Maybe he was lying out of fear. Maybe he heard the intruder and stayed silent because he didn't want to be involved. Hudson returns to headquarters and checks the logs again. One name appears in the late-night entry record: someone who claimed they left early. Someone who swore they had no access. Someone who had everything to lose if the truth surfaced. The technician. Rex sits by Hudson's desk, ears alert, waiting. Hudson knows they need to act fast. The clues are shifting, forming a pattern. Someone inside is hiding something vital, and the next step could change the entire direction of the investigation. The technician's name flashes again on Hudson's screen, highlighted by a late-night entry that shouldn't exist. For a moment, it feels like the missing piece has finally fallen into place. But Hudson has been in this job long enough to know that easy answers usually hide deeper lies. And something about this case keeps pulling him away from simple explanations. The more straightforward it looks, the more twisted it becomes. he replaced the security logs, letting the numbers scroll endlessly across the monitor. The technician's access time sits there, bold and incriminating, but everything else around it feels wrong to clean, to neat, almost as if someone placed that timestamp intentionally. Hudson frowns. People don't erase their mistakes this perfectly. But machines and skilled hands can. Rex sits beside the desk, silent but watchful. His calm presence is familiar, grounding, but even he seems unsettled. Hudson glances at him. Something isn't lining up, is it? Rex doesn't bark or move. He just stares, focused and unwavering, as if he's waiting for Hudson to notice what he already senses. Hudson takes a breath and heads back to the technician. He finds him in a small break room, hunched over a cup of untouched tea. The man looks exhausted, more defeated than defensive. When Hudson sits across from him, the technician doesn't even try to avoid his eyes this time. Instead, he lets out a shaky exhale, the kind that only comes from carrying a heavy secret. Before Hudson can ask, the man blurts out that he didn't mean to lie, he was scared. He admits he came back to the facility late at night, but not to access the lab. He came because he forgot his wallet and didn't want anyone to know he'd broken protocol by returning without authorization. He panicked and changed his story. But he insists he didn't enter the secured wing or touch any of the equipment. It's believable. Too believable. And that alone puts Hudson on edge. Rex moves closer to the technician and sniffs the air around him. His ears lower, not aggressively, but thoughtfully. He turns away after a moment, uninterested. Hudson reads the signal instantly. Rex found no scent trail on this man that connects him to the breach. No chemical traces from the vent. No oil residue. Nothing that puts him near the tampered access point, which means the technician is not the intruder. He's not even close. Hudson stands slowly, a realization spreading across his mind. Someone used this man's midnight visit as camouflage. Someone who knew he'd return without permission. Someone who waited for the perfect moment to slip into the lab and use his unauthorized presence as a distraction, a human shield for their digital footprints. The technician wasn't a suspect. He was a shadow the real culprit stood behind. Hudson leaves the break room, mind sharpening as everything rearranges itself. He heads straight to the security control room, where rows of monitors reflect the cold, pale light of the facility. He pulls up the camera feeds from the maintenance hallway, focusing on the faint movement captured earlier in the night. It's only a few seconds of blur of dark clothing. The silhouette of a figure moving quietly, almost gliding through the shadows. The frame is grainy, but the way the intruder moves is unmistakable, confident, precise. They knew exactly where the blind spots were. Every step calculated. Every moment timed to fit perfectly between routine patrol sweeps. Hudson freezes the image and zooms in. A partial view of the intruder's arm is visible, covered by a sleeve with a thin reflective strip. Not the kind used by technicians or cleaning staff. This is something different, something official, something issued a uniform, someone with authority, someone trusted. Hudson's pulse tightens as he checks the logs again, this time filtering through staff with clearance high enough to access the secured wing. A handful of names appear, but only one matches the pattern of movements Rex detected. Only one followed the same path through the maintenance hallway earlier that week. Only one has the skill to bypass digital locks without leaving errors, a senior researcher. Someone who left the company months ago but still holds old access codes. Someone no one bothered to remove from the system because they were never a problem. Hudson's breath settles into a slow, determined rhythm. The real suspect is not hiding inside the facility. They're already outside and already ahead. Rex stands beside him, tail still, eyes sharp. He senses the shift in Hudson's posture, the silent declaration that the hunt has truly begun. The red herring is gone. The real trail has finally opened. And this time, it leads far beyond the safety of Breakwater Point.